In this video, I'm gonna show you how to set up PCSX2, the best PS2 emulator for PC in 2026. Not only you can play your favorite PS2 games, but you can also enhance them with better graphics and 60 FPS. In this video, we'll cover the setup from start to finish. And because of YouTube guidelines, you must obtain the BIOS file required for this emulator and your games on your own by ripping your copy to the PC or sailing the 7 seas. Let's get going. The first thing we're gonna get is the emulator itself. The link is on the description of this video, and in here, click on where it says latest nightly, and then click on the download button for Windows. Next is Visual C++, link is also at the description, and if your PC has more than 4 GB of RAM memory, get the one that says x64, but if you have less than 4 GB, then get the x86 one. So now at the location where you put the files in, we're going to start with VC++, this file. So go ahead and double click on it to install. And there's a chance that you already have C++ installed on your PC. If that's the case, you're going to see this window here that says modify installation. If that's the case for you, you can close this window and proceed with the video. If not, you're going to keep clicking here where it says next until the installation is finished. Then you can close this window. At this point, you don't need the original file anymore, so you can delete it. Click on it and press Shift, Delete, and then yes. Now for the emulator file, we need to extract it. So click on it with the right button of your mouse, then click on Extract All. In this window, select Extract. Now you have this folder with you, and you can also delete the original file as well. So go ahead and double click on this folder to open, and we have the emulator files. Inside this folder, the first thing we're going to do is create a new file. So click anywhere in this folder with the right button, select New, and this has to be a text document, by the way. So go ahead and click on that. And the name of this file has to be Horrible, exactly like this. Type it and press Enter. And we're doing this because when we start the installation, we're gonna get all the emulator files and folders in the same place, which is better to keep things organized in case you're planning to add a texture mod, for example, or something else. And to start the installation, double click on this PCSX2 Qt application file. There is a chance that when you open this, your Windows will say that this is an unrecognized app, but don't worry, this is safe. So click on More Info and Run Anyway. And as such, you will see the setup wizard window right here. And you're going to see all of these folders created as well, which is the thing that I talked about before, about keeping everything in one place. So in here, you can change some settings like the language and the theme of the emulator. You can click here to see what they look like, but I'm not going to do that in this video. So when you're done, go ahead and click on Next. In this window, we have to select the folder where the BIOS file for the emulator is going to be located, which is the thing that I talked about at the beginning of the video that you must obtain on your own. If you show on video how to download a PS2 BIOS, YouTube will delete the video and strike the channel because it's basically promoting piracy because these BIOS files are copyright protected. And because we created that portable file, the default location for the BIOS will be in the folder with the same name right here in the emulator folder. So double click on it, and this is the location where you're going to drop your BIOS file. This one that I have here is on the .bin format, and there are a bunch of BIOS files out there with the same format, and they all work just fine in the emulator. It doesn't matter what region they're from, even if your game is an American one, for example, but you have a Japanese BIOS, it will work the same way. Even if you come across a collection that has a bunch of them, you can drop them all in here, because the emulator only needs one of them to work fine. And we are going to do this right now. After you place your BIOS in this folder, back here, you're going to click on Refresh List, and your BIOS should appear right here. Click on it to highlight it, and then click on Next. Now we have to select a location on your PC where the emulator is going to scan for games. And this can be anywhere on your PC. What I like to do here is on the emulator folder, I click on it with the right button, select New again, and Folder, and I'm going to create a folder here called Games. But you can even pick the emulator folder as well, the same one right here. And when you do that, go back to the emulator, click on Add. It should open the emulator folder by default. So now you just pick the folder where you want the emulator to scan for games. In my case, this one right here. Click on it once, select folder, and you will see this option, which means that if you have a folder inside the folder you picked as the main one, and that subfolder has games in it, the emulator can find them as well. So no reason not to click on yes in here. And you can add as many places as you want the emulator to scan for games. You can just keep clicking here on add and keep adding them in case you have your games on multiple places. When you're done, click on next. Now we have to set up your controller to be used in this emulator. And by default, this emulator supports pretty much all the controllers out there from PlayStation and Xbox, and even third-party controllers as well. And you can also play with a keyboard as well. So if you don't have your controller plugged in on your PC, go ahead and do that right now. And after you do that, click here where it says automatic mapping, and your controller should appear right here. In my case, this is a Xbox controller, so it's showing up as X input. If it's a PlayStation controller, it will likely show up as direct input, but it works just fine, don't worry. So go ahead and click here, and the emulator will do the automatic mapping for you. But you can change individual buttons as well. I'm going to show you that later in this video. And you saw that we have the keyboard option as well. So if you're going to play with that, go ahead and click on keyboard if that's the case. And if you're going to use a second controller, you just have to do the same thing here. Click on DualShock 2, do the automatic mapping, and then select your second controller. When you're done, select next, and this is the end of the setup wizard. So click on finish, and just like that, the emulator will appear. This would be a good time to subscribe to the channel and also leave a like on this video. With the emulator open, the first thing we're going to do is add your games. So we created that games folder, right? That's where I'm going to drop one of the game files that I have here. I have it on the CHD format, but the ISO format is also a popular one as well, especially if you did sail the 7 seas. And just like the BIOS, you cannot show how to download games on the video as well. But I'm sure you won't have any trouble finding them. It's very easy at this point. And with the game in place, you're going to go back to the emulator and click here, scan for new games. And just like that, they will appear right here. The next thing to do is to tweak the emulator settings to play your game with the best settings for performance and quality. And the best way to do this is set game-specific settings. So click on your game with the right button and then click on Properties. This window will show up, and the first tab I want to show you is the interface one. These right here are more personal preferences. If you want to start your game at full screen, for example, you can just select this one. Or if you want to hide your cursor when going full screen, that is an option as well. So you can play with this the way you want. The next one is the Patches tab, and this is game specific, and most of these patches consist on a widescreen patch, so that games that were originally 4:3 on the emulator can be patched on the emulator to run at widescreen 16:9, and it works pretty well. And depending on the game, you might also have options like no interlacing effect so that the game looks better, and also things like 60 FPS patches and some quality of life improvements as well. And they pretty much depend on the game here. To activate them, you just have to click on the box right next to enable, and it's good to go. The next option, and this is where things get interesting, is the graphics tab. For the first option, graphics API, and the two options here that works the best for most people can be either Direct 3D 11 or Vulkan. It depends on the game you're trying to play and your hardware. So if you're not sure, if you're not familiar with these, you can just pick the automatic option and the emulator will find the best one for you. Below that, under adapter, this one is your GPU. In that case, your main GPU, in case you have a CPU with integrated graphics like the one that I have here, which is not the ideal option to play games on this emulator. You should always select your main GPU. Below that, under display, this option, aspect ratio, if you're using one of the widescreen patches that I showed you before, it is best that you change this to widescreen 16:9 so that it actually forces the game to display in this aspect ratio. Below everything, the anti-blur option is also a good one, but some games don't really support this, so it will have no effect. But there's no harm in activating this option even if the game doesn't support it. Moving on, select the rendering tab, and the first option, internal resolution, this is the one that's gonna make the most difference here. By increasing the resolution, your game will look better, but it will require more of your PC. So what you can do here is select a option like 2x native, and then after you're doing this tutorial, you start the game. And if the performance is okay, you can come back here and then increase the resolution even further. You can even do this with the game running as well. So you can increase this one up until the point where the game is looking good for you. And of course, if your PC can handle that resolution as well. Next, the anisotropic filtering option. This one is a no-brainer. Go ahead and change this to 16x. This will make the game look much better and has minimal impact on performance. There's also the blending accuracy option. And when you start a game for the first time on the emulator, if it's recommended, you're going to see a message on the top left side of the screen telling you what blending accuracy that game should be using in order to get the best visuals. If the game doesn't tell you this, then don't change anything because this option can really affect the performance of your game. So keep it as it is until you start the game. There's also the post-processing option, and this one is a useful option to make your game look better by adding FXAA, which will make the image of the game look sharper too. So if you want to play with that, click on it and then keep changing the value here until the game looks good enough for you. But run the game first with the increased resolution because it might already look good enough for you. And that's it for the graphics settings. When you're done, close this window. And for the controller option I mentioned before, to go there, click here on settings and then select the controllers option. At this window, click on controller port 1. And this is the window where you can change individual inputs for your controller. And it's very straightforward. You just click on the button where you want to change and then press that button on your controller. You can even create separate profiles as well for specific games or something like that. It's all up to you. And now we are ready to start the actual game. And to do that, just double click on your game and it should start like this. This is the message I was talking before about the blending accuracy thing right here. And to go full screen, press Alt and Enter on your keyboard. I have many more emulation tutorial videos like this on the channel, so if you like what you saw, don't forget to check out my other stuff. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.